Joining me is the panel, Federal Liberal MP Garth Hamilton, and Evelyn Ray, Sky News presenter, regular commentator on the show, and most importantly, a farmer herself. Now, Evelyn, I don't know if this carbon capture plan is a danger or not, but can you understand that farmers are thinking it's a risk not worth taking?
Look, I think it's important to always look at ways to do things better, but the most important part of that is to not do it recklessly. You always have to take into account the consequences, the negative consequences, and have contingency plans for those sorts of things. And for farmers, contaminated water isn't just a negative consequence. And I know this from experience. Water is literally our source of life on a farm. It is our source of livelihood. It keeps our livestock alive. It keeps our agriculture alive. It's not just a little negative consequence here and there. It can literally mean life and death for a farmer and his stock. I think on the coast, we take for granted perhaps the water situation, but people in Queensland particularly who rely on bore water perhaps and drilling into that water source, 100% they should be concerned because, like I said, water is life. I think that these sorts of things need to be approached with extreme caution. And I think, sadly, so many of these green plans don't take that into consideration. And history shows that they usually inflict more damage than they promise to heal things.
Now, Garth, the Great Artesian Basin actually starts round about where you're right now and extends all the way west for, what is it, about 1/6 of the continent or something. What do you make of this?
Well, look, the engineer in me does sort of feel there is some risk, and I would like to know more. Truth is, we don't know. This is untested. But I think the real point here, why is Glencore doing this? The only reason they're doing this is because of our net zero commitments. This is net zero. This is what it looks like. They've got no other reason to be engaged in this. And I think it's a very sensible view to have right now, looking at the concerns people are raising, that there are risks associated with net zero, that there are costs and consequences. And heaven forbid that the worst fears do come true with this experiment. There will be a great environmental cost just simply because we've pushed down this net zero pathway. I've been speaking on this for some time. Wherever you stand on net zero, I think we must admit there are risks. We're seeing that play out now. There are costs and there are consequences. There are other countries around the world having very sensible debates about their commitments that they've made to net zero, UK being one of them. Maybe it's time that we had that debate, certainly around the rate at which we're adopting this. And anyone who's pushing for us to go further can really have a look at the case here in the Great Artesian Basin and tell me why we should proceed with something that is completely untested, unknown, and putting a great natural resource at risk.
Yes, like I say, I have not studied the science well enough to form an opinion, but when there are 2 points of view, I'm a bit inclined to go with be careful.